As my husband spoke those words and busied himself with packing, the weight of his impending absence settled heavily upon me. I knew soon I'd be consumed with caring for the baby, leaving little room for me to return home anytime soon. His casual tone belied the gravity of his departure, urging me not to miss him too much. Standing there, silently observing his actions, I couldn't shake the feeling of abandonment creeping over me. He seemed oblivious to my emotions, his laughter and carefree demeanor contrasting sharply with my own turmoil. Even as he jovially inquired about our son's baby bottle, his thoughts were elsewhere, on the child he'd fathered with another woman, not ours. My name is Linda, a 42-year-old caregiver, juggling part-time work and aspirations of becoming a certified nursing assistant. My family, ostensibly complete with my husband and our son, was fractured by his infidelity. Despite enduring years of heartache and tears, I remained tethered to him by love. Once a notorious womanizer, my husband had seemingly settled into domesticity after our son's birth. Yet, beneath the facade of stability, his old habits lingered, resurfacing in clandestine affairs. Robert, our son, on the cusp of adulthood, was the center of my world, his impending departure for college both a source of pride and anxiety. Amidst the chaos of our lives, suspicions gnawed at me, fueled by the telltale signs of his infidelity, lingering scents of perfume, stray hairs, and unexplained absences. Despite my intuition, I lacked the courage to confront him, choosing instead to endure in silence. Then, during a seemingly ordinary family dinner, the truth threatened to unravel. In a rare moment of candor, fueled by alcohol, my husband's words betrayed his guilt. As he marveled at Robert's growth, his clumsy attempts to connect only served to deepen the chasm between us. Caught off guard by the sudden shift in conversation, I realized that our fragile facade of familial bliss was on the brink of collapse. As my husband uttered those shocking words, both Robert and I exchanged wary glances, suspicion clouding our expressions. With a gulp, he drained the remainder of his beer, his next revelation hanging heavily in the air. "The thing is," he began, his voice faltering slightly, "my girlfriend is pregnant." The room fell into an eerie silence, the weight of his confession leaving us stunned. Girlfriend? Pregnant? It seemed incomprehensible, nonsensical. I couldn't help but emit a dry, incredulous laugh. "You must be joking," I retorted, disbelief coloring my tone. "You've clearly had too much to drink today." But he persisted, his words weighted with a disturbing sincerity. "No, it's true," he insisted, his admission chilling me to the core. "We've been together for a year now, and it seems we've accidentally created a baby." In a flurry of panic, I rose from my seat, instinctively shielding Robert from the sordid revelation unfolding before us. His young face remained blank, untouched by the gravity of his father's words. "Robert, go to your room," I urged, desperation seeping into my voice. "This isn't a conversation for you to hear." But my husband interjected, callously disregarding my plea. "No, let him stay," he countered, his indifference to our son's innocence cutting through me like a knife. This might be the last time we're all together. Enraged, I couldn't contain the fury rising within me. "How can you say that?" I exclaimed, my voice trembling with anger. "Our son doesn't need to be exposed to this, especially now." In a sudden surge of protectiveness, I enveloped Robert in a tight embrace, seeking solace in the warmth of our bond. He clung to me, his vulnerability palpable amidst the chaos unfolding around us. But my husband remained unmoved, callously continuing his confession. "I will be coming home for a while," he stated matter-of-factly. "I'll be helping her raise the baby, you know." His words washed over me in a dizzying whirlwind, the magnitude of his betrayal finally sinking in. So he had a mistress, and they were expecting a child. And he had chosen now, on the precipice of the baby's birth, to divulge the truth to us. I struggled to comprehend my husband's inexplicable behavior, feeling as though I was on the brink of losing my grip on reality. Over 2 decades of shared life together seemed to unravel before my eyes, leaving me reeling in disbelief. Despite the moments of resentment that punctuated our years together, witnessing him care for Robert always reassured me of his commitment as a father. But now, faced with the sudden revelation of his affair, I couldn't fathom how he could so callously discard the trust and bond we had painstakingly built. "That's how it is," he announced nonchalantly, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "I'll be heading to her place this weekend and need to get ready." As he began to pack his belongings with a casual demeanor, a sense of devastation settled over me, the ache in my heart growing with each item he placed into his backpack. Lost in my turmoil, his cheerful inquiry about baby bottles used by Robert pierced through the heaviness in the room. Silently, I shook my head, unable to muster a response. Yet, amidst the wreckage of our shattered marriage, there remained one precious memento. It wasn't intended for him or his mistress. It was a token meant for the future, a testament to the shared joys and challenges of parenthood that my husband and I had hoped to revisit together. As he departed the room, dismissing the sentimentality of our shared memories, I couldn't help but wonder if he had truly forsaken us. Did he just abandon us? Robert's voice trembled with unshed tears, echoing the question that lingered unspoken in my own heart. 3 days later, as my husband prepared to leave for his mistress's place, I confronted him with the shattered remnants of my trust. "I believed in you," I choked out through tears, my voice breaking with the weight of betrayal. His response cut through me like a knife, a cruel mockery of our shared dreams. "I always wanted another child," he declared callously, his laughter ringing hollow in the wake of his betrayal. "But you were always too busy, weren't you? We grew older, and I knew we couldn't have another one." As he callously dismissed our shared pain, Robert's glare burned with unspoken fury, a silent witness to his father's betrayal. With a heavy heart, he offered me solace, his gentle touch a balm for the wounds inflicted by the man who had once been our anchor. "What's with that look?" My husband's dismissive words hung in the air, leaving a bitter taste of abandonment in their wake. "By the time I come back, I won't be around anymore. Are you okay with that?" My husband's words cut through the air with callous indifference, leaving a bitter taste of abandonment in their wake. With a resigned nod, I replied, "Sure, you're an adult now, right? You've lost your childlike charm and you're not as cute anymore. I've heard my girlfriend's baby is a girl, so I might like her even more than you." Robert's reaction was swift as he lunged at his father, his frustration and hurt boiling over. For a moment, my husband flinched, but then he met Robert's glare with a cold indifference. "Ah, she's so young and cute, unlike you guys," he retorted dismissively. "I'm really looking forward to our future together." The truth hung heavy in the air as Robert spoke up, his voice laced with resentment. "Yeah, I get it now. You're the worst dad. At least now both Mom and I can make up our minds. We know what to do." Joining Robert's side, I added my voice to his defiance. "You should know that there will be no home for you to return to anymore." My husband, visibly annoyed, shook off Robert's grip and departed without so much as a goodbye, leaving behind a void where our family once stood united. But we refused to remain passive in the face of his betrayal. Already, we had begun to strategize, laying the groundwork for our next steps. About 2 weeks later, my husband called, his laughter grating against my frayed nerves as he spoke of the smoothness of raising their daughter. He even had the audacity to send a photo of the mistress cradling the child, igniting a simmering rage within me. Unbeknownst to him, his careless actions had unwittingly provided us with the evidence we needed to move forward. I saved the photo and commenced recording the conversation, marveling at my husband's astonishing lack of foresight. Right on cue, his mistress seized the phone and initiated the dialogue. "Are you the wife?" she inquired, her tone betraying a hint of smugness. "I'm sorry I've taken your husband all for myself, but it can't be helped since we have a child together now, right?" I couldn't help but scoff at her audacity, masking my disbelief with a disarming reply. "Lol, yes, raising a child can be tough. I'm so glad you're understanding. When I first heard about you from your husband, I just thought you were a weak person who couldn't do anything but cry. But that's not how you sound at all." As her words washed over me, A wave of realization dawned. So this was what my husband had been saying about me to his mistress. Once, such disparaging remarks would have wounded me deeply, but now they elicited nothing more than a fleeting indifference. The love I once harbored for my husband had long since dissipated. Summoning my resolve, I addressed her pointedly. "You knew my husband was married with a child, and yet you still pursued him, right?" Her response was laced with a thinly veiled excuse, attempting to shift the blame onto my husband's deceit. "I didn't know at first," she protested. "Your husband always removed his wedding ring when we met, so when he finally told me, I was surprised. But my feelings for him didn't change. We'll be together forever." Despite the infuriating nature of her words, I couldn't help but acknowledge the strategic advantage they presented. This conversation would serve as irrefutable evidence that the mistress was aware of my husband's marital status and had knowingly continued their illicit relationship. While her lack of remorse and cavalier attitude grated on my nerves, I knew that this calculated indifference would ultimately work in my favor. It would have been far more challenging to exact revenge if she had feigned contrition or expressed genuine remorse over the unplanned child. I bid them to do their best and ended the call, 2 years slipping by in the blink of an eye. Then, on that fateful day, the familiar number illuminated my phone screen, prompting a deep breath before I answered. "Hey, how have you been? I'm coming home now, so make sure the house is clean, okay?" His voice sounded casual, as if oblivious to the upheaval he'd caused. "Didn't I tell you back then that there's no home for you to return to? What are you trying to prove?" I interjected, my tone laced with frustration. Exasperated, my husband attempted to justify his actions. "Sure, I admit I was wrong to leave suddenly, but I can't leave her to raise the child alone, right? You were a mother too, so you should understand." His words grated on me, a stark reminder of his unchanged nature since that pivotal day. Yet, amidst the turmoil, I found a sliver of reassurance. Perhaps his consistent lack of growth was validation enough that Robert and I had made the right decision in prioritizing our own well-being. "I think you misunderstand. There's literally no house for you to return to." "I sold it," I announced, bracing myself for his reaction. His gasp echoed through the phone, prompting me to recount the events of that pivotal day 2 years prior. In the midst of our turmoil, Robert and I had realized the looming possibility of my husband's return, a prospect I couldn't bear to entertain. The house, once a symbol of our shared life, now felt tainted by his betrayal. It was then that Robert had offered a solution, his calm demeanor a beacon of clarity amidst the chaos. "Isn't this house under your mom's name?" he had asked. In that moment, a daring plan took shape. With Robert's savings and the proceeds from the sale, we could sever the final ties to our past and forge a new path forward, unencumbered by my husband's presence. It was a bold move, but one that promised freedom from the shadows of our shared history. And as I contemplated the possibilities that lay ahead, I couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope stirring within me. I embraced Robert's idea wholeheartedly and began the necessary preparations. With unwavering determination, he poured himself into his studies, eventually earning acceptance to a college located far from our previous life. Meanwhile, I diligently pursued certification as a nursing assistant, opening up new career opportunities with higher earning potential. The decision to sell the house was a monumental one, but it marked the beginning of our journey toward independence and self-reliance. Before proceeding, we sought my grandfather's blessing, knowing that the house held sentimental value passed down through generations. When I disclosed the situation with my husband to my grandfather, his reaction was one of unbridled fury. Yet, in his anger, he also offered his unwavering support, generously providing us with a portion of their savings to facilitate our fresh start. Moved to tears by my grandparents' kindness, we embarked on our new life, settling in the state where Robert's college awaited. As we adjusted to our new surroundings, I couldn't help but feel a sense of gratitude for the love and support that had propelled us forward. Yet, amidst the chaos of our transition, my husband remained oblivious to our whereabouts, having shown little interest in our lives during Robert's crucial exam period. "You can't bluff me like that." His voice grew increasingly agitated, revealing his mounting panic. Unfazed, Robert calmly asserted our newfound independence. "If you doubt us, you're welcome to come see for yourself. But for now, we're busy. Goodbye." As my husband's protests grew desperate, Robert seized the phone, his voice cutting through the tension with unwavering resolve. "Dad, you said it yourself. We don't need you anymore. We don't need a father who abandons us to be with his mistress." His words struck a chord, evoking a raw vulnerability in my husband that I had seldom seen. "Please wait," he pleaded, his voice tinged with desperation. "I know I messed up, but don't abandon me." I reclaimed the phone from Robert, steeling myself to deliver the final blow. "You may not agree to a divorce, but we're moving forward with the preparations anyway," I asserted, my voice firm with resolve. "And did you know that alimony payments for fathering a child with your mistress during our marriage can be almost double the usual amount? Better start preparing for that." Without waiting for my husband's response, I ended the call, rejecting his subsequent attempts to reach out. I had no desire for further stress. From now on, he would bear the financial burden of raising a child with his mistress while supporting me with alimony payments. My husband had always been reliant on me, lacking real skills and showing little initiative in household chores. His absence left behind a trail of untended messes, a stark reminder of his dependence. I couldn't envision his relationship with his young lover lasting, given his track record of irresponsibility. Speaking my mind had lifted a weight off my chest, and I took a deep breath, feeling lighter despite my exhaustion. Robert's concern for me was evident, but I reassured him with a forced smile. "I'm fine," I assured him. "Let's go out and eat something you like today." His worry lingered, but he attempted to maintain a cheerful demeanor for my sake. I found his consideration endearing, his debate over dinner options melting away my worries. Despite the challenges we faced, I was determined to create new happy memories with my son in our unfamiliar surroundings. As I pondered our future, a sense of optimism washed over me. Robert's kindness and concern for me touched my heart, but I knew I needed to prepare him for a future of independence. Teaching him to cook would be a priority, ensuring he could fend for himself when the time came. With my husband out of the picture, I no longer felt lonely. As I envisioned our future together, a laugh bubbled up from within me, a sense of freedom and clarity washing over me. With him gone, I could now live the rest of my life with a clear conscience, unburdened by the weight of his presence.